So in the previous session, we have discussed about the validation rules, and we have discussed how to validate the data by using the validation rules, and how many types of validations are available and what exactly the client-side validation and the server-side validation we have discussed, and how to do the client-side validations without using any scripting code, just by using some ready-made functions given by Salesforce. And we have discussed few functions. We have discussed few functions which has been given by Salesforce by default, which we can able to use in order to validate the data. Okay. As part of those functions, we have discussed is blank function and the is null function, text function, and the is change function we have used. Okay. Now we are having few more functions are available. We'll see, and how can we use those functions to validate the information. Okay. Now, the next one, the logical functions. Logical functions. That means like as a logical operators. But sometimes, whenever I'm going to be validating the data, okay, upon validating the data, if that validation is a bit complex, at that time, one condition may not be sufficient to validate that information. Okay? In order to validate the data, one condition may not be sufficient. At that time, I need to write multiple conditions to be used to validate that information. So upon using these multiple conditions, how can we club those multiple conditions together? So in order to club the multiple conditions together, we are going to be using the logical functions. Okay? We are using the logical functions to prepare some compound conditions. Compound conditions means what? We can prepare multiple conditions separately. Those conditions we can group together over here to prepare a compound condition. So now as part of these logical functions, we have three logical functions have been given by Salesforce. First one is the end function. Second one is the R function. The third one is the NOT function. These are the three functions has been given by Salesforce as part of these logical functions. Now, generally, whenever we are validating some conditions, we are validating the condition 1 and condition 2. That means here I would like to consider both the conditions has to be get satisfied. Like the condition 1 also has to be satisfied and condition 2 also has to be satisfied. Okay? If all the conditions are satisfied, then only I would like to perform some operation. If any of the condition has been failed, then I don't want to perform. So in this case, if you want to validate both the conditions has to be get satisfied, then at that time we are using this end function. Like generally, we are going to be writing the conditions like this. Like as some condition 1 and condition 2. This is the format generally we used to write. Okay, we have to write that here. Suppose if you want to have one more condition, then we can specify add condition 2. So condition 3. If you want to add one more condition, then you can specify add condition 4 and condition 5. Like that, we can able to specify a number of conditions also. Okay? You can specify the condition n. That means what? All the conditions has to be get satisfied. Like condition 1 and condition 2 and condition 3 and condition 4 and condition 5 and all the conditions has to be get satisfied. Then only we can able to perform some operations. In this case, whenever we are going to be writing the conditions in other programming languages, we are following this notation. But in Salesforce, as part of these logical functions, we are having some different syntax. Here, observe this one. We are having that multiple conditions are available here. Here always we are going to be clubbing the conditions with the help of this AND operator. But now, instead of writing this AND in the multiple places, we can able to make it separate. Okay, we can make it separate. So that here, wherever we have this value n, we can able to remove this value over here. We are going to be writing like this. We can specify the edge function. We can specify the condition 1, comma condition 2, comma condition 3, comma condition 4, comma condition 5. Like that, we can able to specify a number of conditions. This is the syntax we have to follow. Generally, we are using some different formats: condition 1 and condition 2 and condition 3, like that. But when coming to the functions which has been given the Salesforce, we are having some different syntax here. Now we have to use the end function like this, and we can specify the conditions whatever you want. If all the conditions are satisfied, then only it will return the value as true. If any of the condition has been failed, it returns the value as false. Because end means what? Both. All the conditions has to be get satisfied. Then only it will be returning the value as true, or else it will return the value as false. Okay? Now, make a note of it. Make the syntax here. We can specify n, the condition 1, condition 2, and the condition 3. Like that, we can specify the multiple conditions. Okay. Now, in this case, it returns true when if all the conditions are satisfied. It returns false when if any of the condition fails. If any of the condition has been failed, then it is going to be returning the value as false. The second one, R function. R function. R function syntax is looking like this. It's exactly reverse like as your in current function. Okay. Whenever I'm going to be having some multiple conditions, if any of the condition has been satisfied, it returns true. If all the conditions are failed, it returns false. Okay. The syntax is exactly similar like as at n, but instead of using that n, we need to use R. In this case, it returns true when if any of the condition has been satisfied. It returns false. If all the conditions are so if all the conditions has been failed, then automatically it is returning the value as false. The next function is not. So now basically not function is for what? In order to change the result value from true to false and false to true. In order to change the result value from true to false and vice versa, we are using the not operator. Okay, to get the negation of the result. Okay. The syntax. We have to use not. You can specify that notation. We can't use the notations like as ampersand symbols, pipe symbols, exclamation symbol. We can't use that. Here always we have to use a function name and or not. We have to use. It returns, it converts the result value from true to false and vice versa. It converts the result value from true to false and vice versa. Okay. So these are the three logical functions are available when coming to a Salesforce instance. Okay, as part of your validation process. Now, so let a small use case. Take a small requirement to prepare a validation tool, okay, where I would like to use the multiple conditions. Now, for example, let's take the small use case. I'm having my account object. In my account object, I'm having so many fields are available where the user can able to enter some values to create the class. So whenever I'm creating the record, if the user has entered the phone number, okay, if the phone number is not empty, that means if the user has entered some phone number value, then upon entering that phone number, I want to make sure facts also mandatory. If the user has entered the phone number, then I want to make sure that fax number also mandatory. If the user is not entering the phone number, then no need to enter the fax number. Okay? Now, so now whenever we are going to be creating the record, if the user has entered the phone number value for this record, then compulsorily they have to enter fax number also. Depends. I would like to make it clear. Okay? Now, so now here in this case, how can we do this? Let's make a note of this requirement here. Create a validation rule. Create a validation rule to make sure the fax field should be required when the user entered the phone value. When the user entered the phone value. When the user has entered the phone number value, then at that time I would like to make sure that phone fax number also should be mandatory. Okay. Now, so now let's see in this case. So now I'm indicating that I would like to create a validation. Now on my account object. So now when you want to show the error message, upon creating the record or upon updating the record, if the phone value is not empty, that means it's not blank. At that time, if the fax value is blank, then I want to show the error message to the user. That means what? Once you have entered the phone number, so compulsorily you have to enter the fax number also. So please enter the fax number also. So that upon creating the record or upon updating the record, I would like to make sure if the user has entered the phone number, that means phone field is not blank. Phone field is having some value. At that time, I want to enforce the people to enter the value for the fax field also. Okay? Then how can we do that? Now let's see practically in this case. Now for example, I want to know whether the phone field value is blank or not. How can we verify? Is blank. Okay, is blank of phone field. Okay, is blank of phone. How do we know whether this fax number field value is blank or not? Is blank of. Now, two conditions I have prepared. In order to verify whether that phone is blank or not, in order to verify whether fax is blank or not, I have prepared two functions. I am using these two conditions. Now I would like to club both the conditions over here. Now when you want to show the error message, upon creating the record, if the phone value is not blank, okay, if the phone value is not blank and the fax is blank, then I want to show the error message. How do you know whether the phone value is not blank? We are using the not. Okay? Now, in this case here. Now this is one condition, this is another condition. If the phone value is not blank and then fax is blank, I want to show the condition. So for that one, to club these conditions together, I'm using that in function. Okay? And I'm using the first condition. If the phone value is not blank and if the fax value is blank, then I want to show that error message. Okay? Observe this one. Here I'm identifying that. So now if the phone value is not blank and fax value is blank, that means I want to show that error message. That means here, upon entering the phone number, compulsorily we have to enter that fax number value also. Okay? Clear? Now. So now let's see. How can you prepare this validation tool? Now create a new validation rule on my account object. I'm indicating the rule name over here. Fax is required when phone is not empty. If the phone value is not empty, then compulsorily fax value also has to be entered by the user. In this case, we can able to use that function. All the function names have been populated over here. Okay, you can use that in the function here itself. Okay, and we can able to use that not function. Not function. We can able to use that here. It is changing that value from false to true and the true to false. Okay. Now, just to change that value, we are going to be using this kind of function. Now we can specify that validation condition. I'm using that in the function. Here we can able to write the condition. The first condition is if the phone value is not blank. If is blank also. If the phone value is not blank and the fax is blank. Is blank of fax. Then I want to show the error message. Now, check the syntax. There is no errors found when coming to the syntax. Syntax is correct. Now I want to show the error message. Please enter the fax number. Please enter the customer fax number. I want to show this error message in the fax field. So that select the field as fax. Now click on Save. The validation rule has been created successfully, but here not only one condition, we have used multiple conditions together. Because sometimes whatever the validation you would like to do, if the validation is a bit complex, at that time we can able to club the multiple conditions together also. For that one, we are using this logical functions. Okay. So now let me validate this one. Let's try to create a new account record. I'm creating a new account record with the name some validation test account. Industry I'm selecting like as some government. Annual revenue somewhere. Rating is some heart. Phone number I'm entering some value. Now, when you click on save button, will validation tool will fire or not? Yes, because we have entered fax for phone number. Compulsorily we have to enter fax also. Once you click on save, it is indicating that please enter the customer fax. Suppose I'm making this value also blank. Now, is it mandatory now? No, not required. If you enter the phone, then only fax is also mandatory. Okay. Now, so I'm indicating that phone number value. Now, I'm entering the fax number value also. Okay, I'm entering the fax number value also. Now, upon click on save button, what will happen? Will the record will save or not? Yes. Once you click on save, the record will be created successfully. Suppose after some time, I'm removing this fax number value. I'm making it as empty. Will the validation rule will fire or not? Yes. Validations are always firing upon insertion, upon updation also. That means before insertion, before updation, in both the cases, validation rules will get fired. Okay. So here the condition we are going to be writing to prepare that validation. Okay, clear? Now, the next one. Next, let's take one more requirement here. Let me show you the requirement first. So this is a user. Now training batch user. This training batch user is what? Administrator. Okay, he is the administrator of that user account here. Now he is creating some contact records. Okay, he is creating some contact records. Let me verify, do we have any validation tools are there on my contact? We don't have anything. Now he is creating a new contact record. Administrator is creating a new contact record. Okay, administrator is creating a new contact record. I'm entering some value, sample. Okay, remaining fields are optional. You may enter, you may not enter the values inside this field. Now click on save. There are some triggers are there. Let me remove those triggers first. Now remove the triggers because for the previous batch students have created some triggers. Okay. So now this administrator person is creating a contact record. He is entering some value, first name, sample, last name, test contact. Now click on save. Record has been created successfully. Remaining fields are not mandatory, optional. Okay. Now, like the similar way, one more user inside my organization. Go to the development user. I'm logging into the development user. This user is also having rights on the contact object. He is creating some contact records. Sample contact one. In this case here also, once you click on the save button, record has been created successfully without entering the remaining values. But now, what I want to do is, whenever the user is creating the record inside my contact object, I want to make sure phone is a mandatory field. I want to make that phone field as a mandatory field, but not for the administrator. When the administrator is trying to be creating the record at that time, even though he did not supply the phone number, record has to be accepted. When the other users are creating the record inside the contact object, I want to make sure those people have to enter the phone number value mandatorily. I don't want to allow for the remaining users. That means what? When the administrator is creating the record, I don't want to flag the validation rule. When the other users are creating the record, I want to flag the validation rule now. What we can do in this case? These kind of requirements are very, very common in the real-time implementations. That means, generally, whenever I'm creating a validation rule as of now, that validation rule will be getting filed for all the users. Even though he may be an administrator also, validation rule will be getting filed irrespective of the role, irrespective of the profile, irrespective of the user. But now, for one user, that means administrator, I don't want to file the validation rule. Administrator can create the record only with the mandatory fields. For the remaining fields, he no need to enter the values. But for the other users, I want to make some fields mandatory. How can we do? In this case, we have to add some additional condition based on the user. Okay? Based on the user also, we need to add some additional conditions. How can we add those additional conditions? Now let me show you practically. Okay? Clear? Now. Got the requirement now? Let's take a use case. Create a validation rule to make sure the contact record phone number is required. Contact record phone number is required for the users. for the users except the administrator. Except the administrator. That means if the administrator is creating the contact record, then at that time phone number should not be mandatory inside the contact record. If the other users are creating the record inside the contact object, at that time phone number should be mandatory for them. Then how can we add these kind of conditions? Now let's see. Now tell me, when you want to find the validation rule, if the phone number value is blank, okay, if the phone number value is blank, then I want to find the validation. For which user? For the other user. That means if the user is not a administrator. If the user is not a administrator. Now, in this case here, how can you prepare the conditions now? I would like to use the function is blank of 4. Okay, is blank of 4. So now if the phone value is blank, then I want to find the validation rule. For which users other than administrator? Then how can we recognize whether this person is an administrator or not? Every user will be having the various identities are available. Like as username is available. Okay, username. Based on the username, I would like to differentiate. Then how can we collect that currently logged in user information inside my validation tool? For that one, Salesforce is providing a global variable called as user. Global variable names are always starting with $. Okay? Dollar means global variable. Now this user we can able to access in the entire organization wherever you want. It's a global variable. Okay? Now I want to verify that. If the username value, okay, not equals to that user email ID here. That means this is the username. Training batch user, nothing but the administrator person here. So now here I am indicating that here. If the user is not an administrator, nothing but here the not equals to symbol. Okay? If the user is not an administrator, then at that time, if this phone field value is blank, then I want to show error message. So that here I am verifying this. And I am using that end function. Now verifying this condition. Okay. So now, upon creating the record, contact record, if the phone field value is blank and if the current user is not an administrator over here, the administrator username. Okay, with the administrator username. Email IDs may be same for the multiple users, but the username should be across all the region servers. It should be always unique. Whenever you are creating a new user record inside your Salesforce instance, or it may be a new Salesforce account also, that username should be unique across all the region servers. It may be North America region or Europe region or Asia Pacific region also. Across all the region servers, this username should be always unique. So now it will verify that. If the currently logged in user's username is not equals to the training.84@cs.com, then it will find the validation rule automatically. It will show the message to the user, so now please enter the phone number value for this contact record. Okay? Please enter the phone number value for this contact record. Or else it won't allow. Okay? Here, so in this case, we are going to be adding the condition based on that user variable. So now this is a global variable here, which we are going to be indicating with the help of dollar symbol. Dollar symbol is indicating this variable is a global variable. Now, so now let me prepare this validation tool. Go to the contact object, create a validation tool. I'm indicating that here. Phone field is required for the users. Phone field is required for the users. I want to indicate that phone is a mandatory field. I would like to use a condition. Now, I would like to verify is blank of phone. And then whether this user is not an administrator, how can we specify? For that one, we can go to the insert field. You will be having global variables available. These are the global variables. Okay, object type, organization, profile, system, user, user role, all these things. Okay, these are all of the global variables which have been given by Salesforce. I want to specify based on the user. If the users, when you select that user object, it is populating what fields are available here. So now active status field, address field, alias name, city, company name, contact ID, country. Like that you will be having so many fields are available. I would like to use a field called as username. Okay, username field. If the user record, the currently logged in user's username value is not equals to the administrator. For the administrator, we are having this username is like this. This is the username of the administrator. Now, if the currently logged in user's username value is not the administrator's username, that means he is not an administrator. At that time, if the field value of the phone is blank, then it has to show the error message over here. Okay? Now, check the syntax. It is indicating that there is no errors has been found inside the syntax. Syntax is correct. Now I would like to specify that. Please enter the customer contact number. Okay. Please enter the customer contact number. I want to show this as error message at the field level, like as a phone field level. I'm selecting that field as phone. Now click on save. Okay. Now, so now get in this place. Okay. Now get in this place. I would like to specify. So now the currently logged in user is the administrator right now. I am creating a contact record right now. Click on new button. Now I am indicating that test record 1. Here I am not entering phone value, I am making it as black. Now click on save. My record has been accepted as it is. It is not enforcing me to enter the phone number value. Okay. Now let me log in as the other users over. Log in as other users. Take any of the user account, whatever you want. I am using as a development user account. Currently, I am into the development user account. I am creating a new contact record. Click on new. Sample. Test contact 3-4. Here I am not entering the phone value. Once you click on save, it is indicating that message over here. So please enter the customer contact. For the administrator, it is not firing that. For the other users, it is firing that validation. So we can differentiate that. That possibility is available here. Okay. So now because the administrator can do anything, whatever he wants. Okay. So that upon writing that validation, we can add some additional condition based on the currently logged in users information. We can fetch based on that. We can able to validate the data also. Now I'm indicating that here, the phone number value. Okay. Now click on save. Then only my record will be accepted. Suppose, for example, I'm logging into the another user account. Take any other user account. Take some testing user account. This user is also having the access on the contact object. Click on new button. He is creating a record. Sample test contact 456. He is not entering the phone number value. Once you click on save, it won't allow. Only for the administrator, it is an exceptional. Okay, it's an exception. That means for administrator, no need to enter the value for the fields. He can create the record without entering the value for the phone field also. But for the other user, this is a mandatory policy. Okay. So now in this case, it depends upon that user also. We can able to indicate whether the validation has to be get filed or not. That possibility is available. Okay. So that here user to user, we can able to have some different validations also. That possibility is available. Okay. Clear?
So if there is any other administrator,
Any other administrator in the sense?
Another user with the administrator.
Then at that time, based on role we can add. Or based on profile also we can add. Okay? If you're having some two administrators are there, at that time, both the people will be having two usernames separately. At that time, don't go with that username, go with the profile name. Okay? We can able to add the profile name. Based on that profile name, we can able to add. Like for example, instead of using the username here, go to that validation condition. In this case here, we can able to specify. So now go to that insert, we can specify the profile. Based on the profile name, we can able to add the condition. Like for example, let me show you an example over here. I'm removing this one. For example, come be a scenario, you can raise a question. Sir, in this case, I don't want to find the validation for the CIS platform profile users. Here we are having 3 users are there who are utilizing the same profile, CIS platform profile. Whenever, if these users are creating the contact record, then phone is not a mandatory. For the other people, contact phone should be mandatory. Then what we can do? In this case, I would like to go with the profile name. Instead of using the username, because you are having 3 users are there. If you are having some 10 users, instead of adding 10 user names, simply we can able to add that profile name over here. Now in this case, inside the validation rule, we can able to specify the condition. I would like to add the condition here based on the profile name. Okay, if the profile name not equals to the CIS platform profile. Okay, if the profile name is not equals to CIS platform profile, then if the phone number is blank, then please find the validation tool and enforce the people to enter the value over here. Now let's check the syntax. Now there is no errors has been occurred over here. Now I am indicating that please enter the customer's contact number. Now let's see. Now administrator is going to be creating a new record. Now tell me in this case will the validation tool will fire or not? It will enforce the user to enter the value or not? Yes, because the administrator is belongs to which profile? System administrator profile. Because inside the condition we have given that condition that based on the profile name, this is the profile. So now if the user currently logged in user's profile name is equals to not equals to platform profile, and at that time if the phone is blank, please find the validation tool. That means other than the CIS platform profile users, they have to enter that phone number mandatory. Now let me create the contact record. Sample test 1, 2, 3. I'm creating that record. Now it is indicating that now currently logged in user is administrator. Administrator is trying to be creating the record here. Now it is going to be indicating this. Now please enter the contact number. Now, next one, another user. Let me try with the another user. Now the second user I'm using the development user. Development user is belongs to which profile? Salesforce profile. Log in into the development user account. Now create a new contact record. I'm entering some value here. Now he is click on save button. Record is not creating, it is enforcing the users here. Okay, to provide that contact number. Next one. Now I'm logging into that manager user. Manager user is belongs to which profile? Platform profile. Log in into the manager user. Try to create a new contact record. I'm indicating some value for the contact. No, I'm not entering any phone value. Click on save. Record has been accepted. So because here this user is belongs to which profile? CIS platform profile. So that for this platform profile here, now the contact number's phone field value is not mandatory. Okay? Clear? Like that here we can able to indicate that. Okay? We can able to indicate that information also. Clear?
Can create an update. The value should be fine. So in this case, it will fine.
In both the cases, here also.
It will fine, but it will return false.
Yes. Okay, clear? Depends upon that username also we can able to add the condition. Depends upon the profile name also we can able to add the condition. I am indicating both this one.
Then we can see that these values are is there any loss?
Debug class. You can cross check the debug class also. You will be having the debug class information is available there inside the debug lab. You can verify whether this validation has been filed out.
In debug lab, everything will be filed. Whatever we done is now our side.
Everything. DML operations, everything will be filed. If there is any workflows, validation, sharing, everything will be tracking inside. Okay. Based on the profile name also we can able to add. Based on the username also we can able to add. Now we have to track that one. First of all, we have to enable. Okay, we have to enable this debug lab file from this place. Okay.
In the profile, if I want to make one user mandatory,
Sorry.
that function will be used over there, right? I want to make one user mandatory.
Add one more condition. Username also. Profile and user both. One more condition you can add. Okay. Multiple conditions you can add inside the validation conditions. Okay. So depends upon the user also, depends upon the profile also, we can indicate whether this validation can be filed or not. Okay, we can decide this. No. But upon creating the validation rules, we have the limitation. We can able to have maximum of 100 active validation rules per an object. But in each and every validation condition, we can write n number of conditions also, there is no limitations. Okay? Now, the next function. The next function is new. Is new function. What is this is new function? What is the use? The description is there in the name itself. Is new function is used to identify whether currently you are creating a new record or whether you are working on an existing record. Okay? Are you creating a new record or are you working on an existing record? We can identify very easily here. Okay, with the help of is new function. So now in this case, for example, I am creating a new record inside my account object. So now in this case here I am creating that new record. Once you click on the new button, this particular form has been opened. We can able to enter some values over it. We can create the record. Now this is what I am creating a new record or what? I am creating a new record. Now some cases, I am opening an existing record to modify. Okay. So now we can able to modify this one. Okay. Now in this case we can able to modify the values also. Okay. Here we have removed that permission yesterday inside the profile level for other people. Now here in this case we are working on an existing record. Now this use new function will verify. It will indicate to you. It will be giving an indication to you that you are creating a new record or whether you are working on an existing record. Then how this use new function will be identifying this is the new or old? How it will identify? How this use new function will work internally? What is that internal business logic of this use new function? Simple functionality. If the record is created, what Salesforce will generate? Where that ID we can see? URL. Now, for example, if it is a new record, when I click on the new button, there is a new record creation form. Just to go to the URL, it will collect the URL over there. Whenever I am creating a new record, URL will be looking like this. If I am working on an existing record here, I am opening an existing record. That means I am modifying an existing record over here. Now, if I am working on an existing record, now it will be having the URL like this. Then how can we differentiate here? Now, up to that ap15.salesforce.com is common in both the places over here. Okay? In both the places, you will be having this value. Up to that ap15.salesforce.com is common value. Okay, up to this part. After that, it is looking for an 18 characters ID or 15 characters ID over here. If you are having this 15 characters ID, then it is indicating that this record is an existing record. Okay, this record is an existing. Is it a new one? No, it's an existing one. At that time, what it will returns now? If you are working on an existing record, then what it will return? Suppose here in this case, if it is a new one, then in this case, after this ap15.salesforce.com, we don't have that 15 characters ID. Then this means what, is it a new or old? New. If it is a new, what it will return? That's it. This is the internal implementation of useNew function. useNew function is going to be identifying whether the record is a new one or an existing one based on purely the detail page URL. Whatever the URL is available inside the address bar, based on that URL, it is going to be identifying over. So now why? Because it's here it is identified. Up to this part, this is called as base URL. Okay, this is called as Salesforce base URL. This is called as Salesforce base URL. After this base URL, it will verify. Do we have 15 characters ID or simply 3 characters ID? It will verify. If it is having 15 characters ID, then simply it will be verifying that this is the existing record. That means ID is there. So this is not a new, so it will be returning the value as false. Suppose here after this base URL, if you don't have that 15 characters ID, if you are having only 3 characters ID, it is indicating that this is simply a new record. ID is not yet generated, so it is not an old one, so it will be returning the value as true. Okay? So that here, it is collecting the base URL automatically over here. Okay, it will be collecting the base URL. Internally, they have written some business logic inside that through programming. So they will collect the base URL also over here. Okay, they will collect the base URL. So in order to collect the base URL, we are going to be using some ready-made programming also. Salesforce has given some ready-made classes. Let me show you that. Salesforce has given some business logic in order to get the base URL of your Salesforce instance. To get the base URL, we can able to use this functionality. Now we are using the ready-made class called a system. URL dot, you will be having a method called as get a Salesforce base URL dot to external form. There is a ready-made method has been given by Salesforce through which we can able to get the Salesforce base URL. The current system's base URL we can able to fetch. If I am executing this piece of code, we can able to see the result of it. Select the debug only. Now we can able to get the base URL ap15.salesforce.com. Based on this base URL, internally it will be identifying after the base URL what we have. Either 15 characters ID or 3 characters ID. If it is a 15 characters, that means it is an old record, so it will return false. If it is having only 3 characters ID, it will be identifying that. So now this is not an old one, this is a new one, so it will return the value as true. Okay. So now based on that URL, it is purely identifying that whether this record is a new record or old record. Okay. Clear? Now make a note of this one. It returns true when the user is creating a new record. Else, it returns false. If the user is creating a new record, it returns true, or else it will return false. Now, next one. Boolean is picked value. Is the picked value. Pick list the field name and the string literal. Is the pick val function. is pick val function. So then what is the use of this is pick val function over here? Basically, this is a pick val. Pick means what? Selected value inside the pick list field. Okay. So now, as of now, we have discussed so many ready-made functions given by the Salesforce, okay, to be used to do the validations. So now, in this case, we have used a function called as text function. Text function is used to get the currently selected value from the pick list. Whatever the value it may be, just it will return the value. That's it. Is the value is hot or warm or cold or banking, finance, whatever, it won't do anything. Simply it will return the value, that's it. From there we need to compare whether this value is what? Is it hot? Is it warm? Is it cold or what? We need to compare additionally. But in this case, instead of comparing that value manually by my own, that functionality can be done with the help of isPickVal. That means what? This isPickVal function is used to compare the currently selected value inside this pick list field value is equals to this value or not. We can able to compare. That means we can collect the currently selected value of this pick list field and we can compare that value with this value over here. We can specify that. If both are equals, then it is returning the value as true. Or else it will return the value as false. Okay? Now in this case, in order to compare the currently selected value inside the pick list field is equals to the specified string literal. If the currently selected value is equals to the specified string literal, both are equal, it will be returning the value as true or else it will return false. isPickVal, that means whether the currently selected value inside the pick list field is equals to this particular value or not. If it is equals, it will return true or else it will return false. Okay? Now, for example, assume that. How can we use this one? Now let's see. For example, I am indicating that isPickVal of the rating field. Field name we have to specify. I am indicating that after. Okay? So now I am comparing that here. Whether the currently selected value inside the rating field is equals to hot or not. Now for example, let me go to my Salesforce instance. In my object here, I am creating a new record. I am selecting the value as hot. Now tell me the rating value is hot or not? Yes. Because here the currently selected value is equals to hot. In this case, to compare this one. Because if the rating value is hot, then I want to give some discount to my customers. Okay, I want to offer some discount. Suppose if the rating value is equals to some warm, I don't want to offer the discounts over. Because hot means what? Some valuable customers to me because frequently they are visiting my organization, they are purchasing so many products. These are some premium customers to me, so that for the premium customers, I want to give some benefit, okay, as an organization. For that reason here, I would like to verify the currently selected value inside this field value is equals to hot or not. If it is hot, then I would like to offer some discounts over there to the customers. Okay? Like that here we can able to indicate. In order to know the currently selected value inside that pick list field is equals to a specified string literal or not, we are using this isPickVal function. Okay? Now. So now let's make a note of this one. It returns true when the currently selected value in the pick list field is equals to the specified string literal. Specified string literal. Else it returns false. Else it returns false. So let's take a small use case. For example, assume that today I went to the bank to open a new bank account. I filled up the application form to open a new bank account, and I have given the required documentations, and I have paid the initial amount also for that bank, and then I am opening a new bank account. Whenever they are creating a new bank account, what is the status of that account? Is it active or inactive? Active. Okay, this should be in active status always. Because just now the customer is opening a new bank account, so that this will be in active status always. Suppose, for example, once account has been getting created, I use that account for 2 months. So then, after 2 months, whatever the amount that I have inside the account, I have withdrawn that whole amount over here. I have utilized that. And since almost 6 months, I'm not using that account. Okay, since almost 6 months, I'm not using that account. I haven't performed even a single transaction also. Then what we can do? Can you change that account status to inactive or not? Yes. That means what? Upon creating the record, automatically the status should be in active status. Once the record has been getting created in future, we can change the status to inactive also. Now, what I want to do is, whenever I'm going to be creating a new account record, at that time, new customer record should be always in active status. Here I'm having a field called as active field. Here we are having 2 values are there. Yes, no, and empty. So upon creating a new account record, for every new account should be having the active status as yes. It should not be no, it should not be empty. Compulsorily it should be yes. That is my requirement. That means always the new customer record should be in active status always. That is my requirement here. Okay? Then how can we indicate? Now let's see. Make a note of this use case. Create a validation rule to make sure all the new account records should be with active status as yes. That means always the new account record should be in active status. Now tell me, how can we prepare this validation rule? Then what needs to be done? I need to make sure whether this record is a new one or not. I want to verify. Okay? Then how can we verify whether a record is a new one or not? Is new functions. Then when you want to show the error message here, upon creating that account record, if it is a new record, then at that time, if the active status value is not yes, then I want to show the error message. Okay? If the active status value is not yes, when upon creating the new record, to know whether it is a new one or not, I am using that is new function. And then to know whether the currently selected value for the active status field is yes or not, then what we can do? I need to use that function called as isPickVal. isPickVal of active status field is yes. That. So now, in order to verify whether the active status field value is equals to yes or not, we have prepared that one more condition. Now I would like to club both the conditions over here. Then in this case, when you want to show the error message, if the record is a new one and if the active status value is not yes, then I want to show the error message here. So that both the conditions I would like to mix together by using the AND function. Okay, I am using this. That means if the current record is a new record and upon creating this new record, so now this is the active status field value is not yes. If this is other than yes, like as no or empty, whatever, at that time I want to show that error message. Okay. So now let me prepare this validation rule right now. If it is an existing record, then we can make that status as inactive also. That will be getting allowed. Now let's see in this case. So now I'm creating a validation rule on my account object here. New validation rule. New customer records should be active. I'm indicating the description as new customer records should be in active status status. I'm preparing that condition. I'm using the condition. So whether this is a new record or not, I would like to verify. Is new. If it is a new record, then if the currently selected value inside the active status value, active status field is not yes. Okay. If the currently selected value inside that request field, active field is not equals to yes, then I want to show the error message. Now click on check syntax. Now there is no errors available when coming to the syntax. Now specify the error message. Always new customer records should be active. Okay. Always new customer record should be in active status. I want to show the error message. Now this message I would like to show at the active status. I want to show at the active status. Excuse me. Now let's see. How can we validate this one? I'm using these two functions over here. I'm clubbing these two conditions with the help of this end function. Now let's verify. Go to that accounts. Create a new account record. Account record sample testing account. I'm entering the rating value and the phone and the fax value are entered. I'm making this active status as no. Is it a new record or existing record? New record. Because here I'm creating the new record right now, so it is indicating new account. I'm creating a new record over here, so it is, in this case, I'm making this active status as no. Now tell me, when I click on the save button, will it have to accept this record or not? No. Once you click on that save button, record should not be acceptable. It has to show the message to the user, always new customer record should be in active status. Okay? Now, suppose for example, I am making this value as empty, nothing but none. Now tell me in this case, will it be accepting the record? No. Now click on save. It won't accept the record, it is showing that same message over there. Now I am making this value as yes. Now tell me, will it be accepting or not? Yes. Because it's a new record, so compulsorily new record should be in active status over. Once you click on save, record will be acceptable. So once the customer record has been getting created, then since the last 3 months, the customer is not visiting my organization at all. He haven't visited even a single time also. Now, as per my company policy, I want to deactivate these kinds of customers. Then what we can do? Can I change this value to no? When I click on save button, what will happen? Is it a new record or existing record? Existing record here. Okay? Just now we have created the record. Okay? Now this is the existing record because it is having the record ID inside the URL. Now I'm making this value no. Will it be accepting the record or not? Yes, as it is. Once you click on save button, for the existing record, we can able to make that value as no also. But for the new customer records, always the value should be yes. Okay? Depends upon the requirement. For new records, different validation. For the existing record, different validations also we can do. That possibilities. Okay? Clear? Now, the next one. We are having one more function is available over here. the most important function. Regex function. Regex function. So this is also called as regular expression. Okay, this is also called as regular expression. This is also called as regular expression function. Okay. This is also called as regular expression function. So what is the use of this regular expression function? Regular expression functions are used to validate the formats. In order to validate the format of the data. Okay, in order to validate the format of the data, we are using the regular expressions. Okay, now, for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that I have a field with the name some PAN number. Okay, I have a field with the name some PAN number inside my object. So now in this case, I am providing a text box to the user so that he can enter the PAN number value. Now generally, PAN number will be having how many characters here? 10 characters. PAN number is always a 10 characters alphanumerical number. When coming to the PAN number, I am entering the value like this. Now in this case, will it be a valid PAN number? Is it a valid PAN number? No. How do you? When coming to the PAN number, you will be having totally 10 characters. It's an alphanumerical number. So now from these 10 characters, the first 5 will be that alphabetical characters, nothing but the characters. The next 4 digits, and the last 1 again it will be a character. This is the PAN number format. Okay. When you go to your insurance policies, you will be having some specific format. When you go to your phone numbers, you will be having a specific format. When you go to the bank account number, a specific format is available. When you go to credit card number, a specific format is there. When you go to the driving lesson, there is a format. When you go to the passport number, there is a format. When you go to the Aadhaar card number, there is a format is available. Like that, they are going to be indicating the formats. Okay, they are indicating the formats over here. So now here in this case, whenever if you want to verify the data with that specific format, then we are going to be using this regular expression function. Regex function is also called a regular expression function. It's a short format of regular expression. Instead of writing like the regular expression, they have given a short name that is called as regex. Okay. Regular expressions are very, very useful in the real-time implementations upon validating the data, upon validating the email IDs, upon validating your organization ID, your object IDs, and then the PAN card details, bank account details, credit card details, Aadhaar card details, passport details, and the vehicle insurance numbers. In order to track all this kind of information, they are using the various regular expressions to validate the data over here. Okay. So now because it will be having some specific formats are available. So now here in this case, in order to validate the data with a specific format, we are using the regex function over here. Okay, we are using the regex function. Then how can we prepare this regular expressions over here? Okay, how can we prepare these kind of regular expressions? Okay, now let's see. Now, in this case, Whenever we are going to be using these regular expressions, we have to use the wildcard characters. Okay, we have to use wildcard characters. Why? Because we have to prepare the expression. Okay, we have to prepare the format over here. Okay, now in this case, we have to prepare that expression or the format. Now, in order to prepare that expression or the format, we have to use some wildcard characters. Okay, we have to use some wildcard characters. With the help of few wildcard characters, we can able to prepare our own expression or our own formats, whatever you want. So now here in this case, we are using the basis, square basis. Okay, square basis. Square basis is used to represent a group of characters. Okay, now it is used to represent a group of characters. Okay, it is used to represent a group of characters. Whenever if you want to validate a collection of characters, we are using the square basis. Next. Now, after that, you will be having that one more format inside this. Inside that, we are indicating that A to Z. That means what? Now it will be having a single word. It will be having a single word which will be having so many characters inside that, where every character should be false between the range A to Z. That means it should be always 8 characters. Okay, this is a word which has to prepare purely with the help of characters. Not the special characters, not the numerical number should not be included. Only purely characters we can able to use. Those characters should be between A to Z. Like as some Ramesh, I have prepared the card name over here. In that one, RAMESH. No, these are all comes under between this range only, right? A to Z only, right? Like that, we can prepare that form. Suppose I'm indicating some Ramesh 1, 2, 3. Is it what? It is having characters or numerical. So it will not be comes under this particular range over here, because it is having some numerical values also. Now in this case, it is going to be representing a group of characters which are false between A to Z range. Okay? Now, represents a group of characters which are false between capital A to capital Z. Capital A to capital Z. Next one. Now capital A to Z, here I am indicating that a value some 2. Okay, indicating the value 2. That means what? It should have a word where in that word we should have maximum of 2 characters only, that each and every character should be between A to Z itself. Okay, each and every character should be false between A to Z only 2 characters word. It represents a 2 characters word over here. It represents a 2 characters word. 2 characters word. For example, AP. Now some keywords. AU. And some SG. Like that. Only 2 characters. The 2, this character should be always capital A to capital Z range only. Okay. The next one. 0 to 9. I'm indicating 4. That means what? 0 to 9 are 4. That means what? It should have a 4-digit number. Okay, 4-digit number where every digit has to be false between 0 to 9. Okay? It represents a 4-digit number.
Same numbers also.
Same numbers also can use. Like a 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 7. Like that. And we can indicate that. Capital A to Z, comma small a to Z. I would like to indicate 5. Then what it represents over here? We can able to have a 5 characters word. Okay, we can have a 5 characters word where those characters can be either both capital letters or small letters. So the combination both we can able to use. Okay. It represents a 5 characters word which includes both capital and small letters. That means uppercase letters and lowercase letters also inside. Both will be getting acceptable over. So these are few wildcard characters and the formats we are going to be using upon preparing our own expression. Okay. Now, so in this case, for example, assume that inside my object I am having a field with the name part number. Okay, I am having a field called as part number. In my account object or in my hiring manager object, for example, I would like to create a field which is a part number field, which is of type text, which can able to have maximum of some 10 characters inside this. Fine. I'm indicating the length as 10. Okay, I'm indicating the length as 10. Now here, in this case, I'm making it as it is a required, it is a mandatory. Or else you can make it as leave also, you can leave it as blank also, no problem. Now in this case, if I'm making it as required, it will be accepting the values over here. It will make that field mandatory. Now, so now we have created a field with the name part number inside my hiring manager object. From now onwards, whenever you are creating a new record inside my hiring manager object, compulsorily we have to supply part number value also. Okay. So let me arrange this field. Now, so now here I am having this field. Now the hiring manager name I am entering over here. So now some sample. Contact number I am entering some value. Location some Hyderabad. Email ID some sample@some gmail.com. I am entering the PAN number here. Okay. Now I am entering like some AI 1 2 3. Now tell me, will my record will be acceptable? I have created a field which is of type text by giving the length as 10. That means what? It will allow the characters up to 10 characters. Not exactly 10, up to 10 characters. You may enter either 1 character, 2 characters, 3 characters, 5 characters, up to 10 maximum you can enter. Now when I click on the save button, now my record will be accepted. Now tell me, is it a valid PAN number here? No, it's not a valid PAN number. That means what? I need to verify whether whatever the value the user has entered inside that PAN number field, is it in the correct format or not, I would like to cross check. Because PAN number should be compulsorily should have maximum of 10 characters inside that, which should be alphanumerical number. So in this case, when coming to the PAN number, there is a format. From those 10 characters, first 5 will be the characters, next 4 will be the digits, last 1 will be the character. Then how can we validate this one? Now tell me how to prepare this expression right now over here. The first 4 or 5 what you are expecting? Characters. Now how can we specify the first 5? Specify that. A to Z. It may be capital, it may be small also. Okay, I am expecting that. User may enter both uppercase letters, lowercase letters both. How many? 5. Okay, 5. So now next one. Next 4 is what? Digits. That will be 0 to 9. How many? 4. Next, after that, 1 character. That may be A to Z, comma, small a to Z. How many? 1. Now I would like to combine this one. Just to combine this. This is a regular expression for your PAN number 5. Okay. In this case, upon entering the PAN number value, if you are following this particular format, then only the record will be getting acceptable, or else it won't accept. Compulsorily, we have to enter 10 characters. From those 10 characters, first 5 should be mandatorily the characters, next 4 will be the digits, and the last 1 will be the character. Compulsory. This format we have to follow over. Or else the record will not be allowed you to save. Okay? So in this case, we can prepare our own formats over here. Now, for example, assume that sometimes my customer said that I would like to have the PAN number like this. Now, what we can do? This is the PAN number format here. I want the PAN number format like this. What is the expression now? Okay. Simply use this same expression. Now, in this case, what we can do? After this 5 digits, make it as a hyphen. After the 4 digits, that's it. Now, what will be the length of this field now? How many characters should we get allowed the field? How many? 10 or 12? 12. Because here it is having the hyphens also. 2 hyphens are available. So, totally 12 characters should be get allowed. At that time, extend the field length to maximum of 12. Not more than that. For example, I want to prepare the format for my credit card number. Then what we can do? Credit card number should be having how many digits here totally? 16 digits. Now what we can specify? 0 to 9, 4. And then there is a space. And then 0 to 9, 4. And there is a space. 0 to 9, 4. And then 0 to 9. So this is the format. So compulsorily we have to enter the values in this format. Credit card number. Suppose I want to prepare the format for that Aadhaar card number. Aadhaar card number contains how many digits? 12 digits. Okay. Now in this case we have to specify this format. Okay. Like that depends upon your requirement, we can able to prepare the format for your data also. So now let's see how can we validate this PAN number value. Now let's create a validation. Create a validation rule to validate the PAN number format. Create a validation rule to validate the PAN number format of the customer. Okay, now. So now let me prepare the validation rule on my account object to validate this PAN number format. Whether the 10-digit PAN number which has been entered by the user, is it in the valid format or not, I would like to cross check. Let's see. The PAN number field is available there in my hiring result. So now let me prepare that validation rule over here. I am creating a validation rule on my hiring manager object to make sure PAN number should be in the valid form. Validate PAN number form. Okay. Validate part number 5. I am going to be indicating that. I would like to use the regex function. We need to specify which field value would like to validate. I would like to validate the PAN number field of the hiring manager. PAN number. What is that expression we need to specify? We need to specify the expression over here. 0 to 9, sorry. Capital A to Z, comma small a to Z. How many? 5. Next, we need to specify 4 digits. And then we need to specify 1 character. Okay, 1 character. So that here we are preparing our own PAN number format. With the help of this PAN number format, we are validating that expression. Now tell me, when you want to show this error message to the people, if the PAN number is in this format or if the PAN number is not in this format, not in this format. So that if this PAN number field value is not in this format, then I want to show that error message. Okay, if the PAN number field value is not in this format, so that I am using not operator. If it is not in this format, then I want to show the error message to the user. Now, let me check the syntax. Now, there is no errors available inside the syntax right now. I want to show this message over here. If the PAN number is not in this correct format, I would like to enforce the people to enter the correct PAN number format. Now, please enter the valid PAN number format. Please enter the valid PAN number. I want to show this error message at the PAN number field. Okay. I want to show this error message at the PAN number field. Now click on save. We can able to save the data. Now the validation rule has been created. From now onwards, we can validate that information. Let me open any other record here. I am indicating that PAN number. I am giving that value. I have entered some 10 digits over here. When I click on this save button, what will happen? Record will be acceptable or no, because it is not in the valid format. Now it is indicating, please enter the valid format. Now I am indicating over here. 5 digits, the 5 characters and 5 digits. Now tell me, will it be acceptable or no? Once you click on save, it won't accept. So now I am entering 4 characters, 5 digits, 1 character. Now in this case, 4 digits, 5 characters, 4 characters, 5 digits, 1 character. No, it won't accept that. Now I am entering the correct format over here. I am entering the characters. Now I am entering the 5 characters, 4 digits, and 1 character. Now accept the record. Once you click on save, the record will be accepted. Now in this case, do I need to enter all are uppercase or all are lowercase? Both also. All may be uppercase, all may be lowercase or combination also. Now here I am indicating that here I am entering that small p. In this case, here I am entering that small p. Okay. In this case also it will be acceptable as it is because we are going to be including the values of both uppercase and lowercase of both also. Anyone. Suppose if you are giving like this only capital A to Z, compulsorily we have to enter the PAN number in the capital letters only. If you are entering the small letters, it won't accept. Okay? This is how we are going to be preparing the validation rules inside your Salesforce instance to validate your data. Okay? Clear? Now make a note of some measurements. Unique. For that field, apply that aligned with the required checkbox, make it as unique also. The first one. Create a validation rule to make sure the customer billing address should not be empty. Compulsorily, we have to enter the billing address. Now, then what field we need to apply the validation rule now? Billing address fields are there in my account object. Then, what field we need to use to apply the validation rule? Is blank, okay. Forget about the function, I am talking about the field. What is that field name? Billing address. Billing address is a field. Billing address is what? A field set. Okay, billing address is a field set. How many fields are there inside that field set? 5 fields are there. Like billing street, billing city, billing state, billing postal code, billing country. 5 fields are there. So whenever if you want to make the billing address as mandatory, please make sure that all these 5 fields should be having the value inside. If any of the field is not having the value, don't accept the record. Okay, that is a validation rule. Okay, understood the requirement? Now, compulsorily all the fields should be having the value. If any of the field is not having the value, I want to show the error message to the user. Okay. Now, the second one. Create a validation rule. Create a validation rule to make sure the annual revenue should be more than 25 lakhs for the banking customers. Create a validation rule to make sure the annual revenue should be more than 25 lakhs for banking customers. Now tell me what we can do. If the account's value, account records, industry value is equals to banking, then at that time the annual revenue value should be always more than 25 lakhs. Okay, 2 conditions you have to prepare. Okay, how to prepare? It's up to you. Okay, I'm not going to discuss that part. Okay, now next one. Create a validation rule. Okay, create a validation rule to make sure each account can have maximum of 4 related opportunities. Then how can we do this? I want to make sure an account can have maximum of 4 opportunities. When you try to attach one more opportunity for the same account, that means 5th one, it should not allow. How? What we can do? Okay, then. Right. Half of the part is okay, fine. Next. Okay. Accept that. Right, that's it, simple. So now for this one we need 2 things. One is roll-up summary field. Second one is validation. 2 things are sufficient. Okay. So in this case previously we used to implement some triggers. Okay. But now what we can do, on your account object, create a roll-up summary field in order to get how many number of associated opportunities are available. Get the count of that opportunities that will be storing inside the roll-up summary field. Now, on that roll-up summary field, apply a validation rule. If that value is greater than 4, then don't allow this record here. That means display the message, an account can have maximum of 4 associated opportunities. Okay? You know how to configure roll-up summary fields. Okay? Now, next one more. Create a validation rule. Create a validation rule to make sure each position should be associated with only one candidate. That means I want to make sure position to candidate one-to-one association. So now position is the parent object, candidate is the child object. Whenever I'm mapping that association, if it is a lookup, what kind of association will provide? One to many. If you're mapping master detail, one to many. But I want one to one. Okay, I want one-to-one association. How? Similar concept, nothing different. Create the roll-up summary field, okay, on the position object to get the number of child candidates count. If the count value is greater than 1, show the error message. That means if position can be assigned to the or applied by only one candidate, not more than that. That means one-to-one association. When the second candidate person is applying for the same position, automatically roll-up summary value will be getting incremented. Don't allow to increment that value. If it is greater than 1, show the error message over. Don't allow to save this record. So that here, the position can be get applied by only one candidate over here. One-to-one association we can able to map. Okay? In this case, it is a common question in every interview, how to achieve one-to-one association between two objects. What we can do? By using validation rule and roll-up summary. Okay, roll-up summary. Clear? Now, next one. The next one, I would like to do that here. One more. Create a validation rule. Create a validation rule to make sure the position close date should be always greater than the open date. Greater than the open date. Greater than the open date. Right now, what it is doing here, when you go to my position object, I'm having two fields at open date and the milestone. Okay, we are having that open date and milestone. I'm indicating this open date as, for example, some number 8. Okay, number 8. I'm indicating that milestone date as some July 9. Both are in the same year. Observe this one. This is also 2019, this is also 2019. Open date is in November 8, okay, and then close date is in some September, okay, 9, September 7, like that. Will it be acceptable here? Because milestone date should be, target date should be always a future date. It should not be the old date here. So in this case, I don't want to allow. When you click on save, okay, when you click on save, it will be accepting as it is over here. Okay, it will be accepting as it is. Now, open date is the current date and the milestone date is the old date. It should not be acceptable like this. I want to implement that functionality. I would like to have a validation tool on this one. So that milestone date should be always greater than open date. Okay? Next one. Create a validation rule. Create a validation rule to make sure to make sure case record status should be in progress. Case record status should be in progress for the high priority cases. Whenever you are creating a new case record, then at that time, if the case priority is equals to high, then compulsorily status should be in progress. That is my requirement. Next one. Create a validation rule to prevent the users from changing the account status value. Except the administrator. Okay? Except the administrator. Create a validation rule to prevent the users from changing the account status value. Except the administrator. That means administrator can change the account record status, but other users should not be able to change. Okay? That is my requirement. Okay? So now, try these 7 validation rules. Okay? These are the SMUs. Now, you want a break? Yes. So just have a 5 minutes break. Okay? 5 minutes. So now let's see the formula fields. So we'll see what exactly the formula field, how to create a formula field inside your Salesforce instance, and how can we apply the various formula conditions to be used to calculate the data to be get stored inside that field, and how can we create the formulas on the same object, how can we create cross-object formula fields also. We'll see practically. If it is a cross-object formula field, Then at that time, what are the various limitations has been given by Salesforce? Up to how many fields we can reference? Okay, we'll see practical. Now, you know what exactly a formula basically? You know so many formulas. Formula in the sense what? An expression. In the sense, an expression which will do some calculations. Okay, which will do some calculations. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that I'm getting some salary every month. From that salary, I need to pay some service tax. Assume that it's like some 5% service tax I need to pay to the government. Then how can we do that? We are using some formula. By using some formula based on our monthly revenue or annual revenue, whatever, based on the revenue, we are going to be calculating some 5% of that revenue that will be we are paying to the government as a service tax. For example, so I went to a shopping mall to buy some jewelry. So I selected one jewelry item, the prepaid that bill. Take out some 20,000 rupees. So in that 20,000 rupees, we need to pay some GST also. Okay? And the gold, we need to pay some 3% GST. So now in this case, they are going to be adding the 3% GST for that bill amount 20,000. They are applying some formula to calculate the 3% of the GST. Okay? Now, in this case, when you go to the restaurant, in order to have some food, in order to have some dinner or breakfast, or it may be lunch, whatever, and that bill amount they are charging some service tax also, some GST also, both. It may be 18% GST or whatever, they are charging some additional amount. They are using some formulas to calculate. Whenever, if you are going to be finding out some simple interest, we are using some specific formula. Based on that formula, we can generate some result. Next. So whenever if you want to perform some any other operations, at that time, we are applying the various of formulas. Like to convert the currency value from the dollar to rupees or rupees to dollar, we are using some formula, some expressions. With the help of those expressions, we can able to convert the values, we can generate some results. Like the similar way, for example, assume that I am creating a field inside my object. Okay? I am creating a field. Assume that I have an object. So this is my account object where I am having my account record ID field, name field, rating field, industry, and the annual revenue. So these are the various of fields are available. So I'm having the ID field, name field, industry, rating, revenue. These are the 5 fields are there inside my account object. I'm having this account object. Inside my account object, I'm having this 5 fields: ID, name, industry, rating field, and then revenue field. Okay, these are the 5 fields. So now I'm creating some records inside this. I'm creating some records. Like I'm having the first record 001, some 345. Name is some account 1. Industry is some banking. Rating some heart. Revenue some 2 lakhs. Second record 001 346 or 347 is the second account record. Some account 2. Industry is some finance. Rating some WA. Annual revenue some 1 lakh. Third account 001 4567 or 456. Now the record is some account 3 to the third account record. Industry is some banking. Rating value some hard. Revenue some 75,000. These are some 3 customer records are available inside my customer personal account. Now, so recently we have added a policy inside my organization that whenever the customer is generating some revenue, okay, customer is generating some revenue, from that revenue they have to pay 5% as a tax to the government. Okay, we are going to be charging some 5% of that service charge. So for that one to store that service charge information, I would like to have one more column here. I would like to add one more column. The service charge. So now this is the service charge. Okay, service charge. Now service charge will be always 5%. Okay, this will be the 5% of the revenue. Whatever the revenue they are generating from that fire revenue, 5% of the revenue they have to pay to the government as a service charge. So now in this case, what we can do in this case? How can we calculate? So now 5% of 2 lakhs means what? Then it will be 10,000. Okay? That means here they are going to charging some 10,000 rupees as a service charge to the government. How we are generating the value 10,000? By applying some formula. So what is that formula here? We are using the revenue into 5 by. So this is the formula that we are using. We can able to multiply the revenue value by into the 5 and I am deducting that whole value by 100. So we can able to get the value over here. This is the service charge. Okay, I am generating that service charge value over here. The service charge value I am storing inside this. Now, in this case, do I need to generate the service charge value? Do I need to calculate manually by my own for every record? No. Because if I am having some 10 records are there, then manually I will take each and every customer's revenue, I will use a calculator, I will apply that 5% of annual revenue, I will generate the value that I will store inside that service charge card. Suppose if it is a 10 records, I can manage by spending some half an hour. If I am having some thousands of records, then if I am having some millions of records, then what we can do? Do I need to calculate the service charge for each and every customer record manually by using a separate calculator? No, I don't want to do that here. In this case, what I want to do, I want to delegate the responsibility to my field itself. Okay? To my field itself, I want to delegate the responsibility. Boss, I'm creating a new field right now to this object here. Now, within this field, we need to store some value. What value? Service charge value here. What is the service charge value? 5% of that revenue over here. So that we have a formula, so that I'm indicating this responsibility to my field itself. Whenever I'm going to be creating the field, automatically, whatever the formula that I have given, the formula will be getting applied on each and every record. It will collect that service charge value that will be storing inside the field automatically. That means what? Instead of calculating that service charge manually by my own, by using some calculators, by using that manual operations, I want to delegate the responsibility to my field itself. Why? Because I don't want to enter the value inside the field. If I'm creating the account records, it has to calculate service charge automatically by default. It has to calculate some discounts also automatically by default. I don't want to calculate the service charge value, discount value, GST value by my own. So in this case here, I would like to delegate the responsibility to the field itself. In this case, if you want to generate any field value based on some specific expression or formula, then we have to go with that formula fields. Okay? As of now, we are creating so many fields inside that object. Then in that field, who are entering the value? We are entering the value manually over here. But now, for this field, I don't want to enter the value for this field. That value has to be generated by my field itself automatically. Based on what? Based on some expression, based on some formula. That formula I will provide upon creating the field itself. So that upon creating the field, I will indicate the formula. Please use this formula in order to generate that service tax and then place that value inside this field automatically. From there onwards, whenever I'm going to be creating a new record, automatically formula will be reapplied on the record. It will store the value inside this one. Suppose in future, if I'm changing the annual revenue of a customer, automatically formula will be recalculated. It will generate the new value to be storing inside this particular field itself. So that I don't want to enter the value inside the field, that value has to be get generated by the field itself based on the formula or expression given by the developer or administrator. In this case, if you want to generate the value for the fields based on some formula or expression, then we can go with that formula fields. In this case, now tell me, for the formula fields, do I need to enter the value by my own? No. Formula field value will be generating by Salesforce system itself automatically based on the formula which we have indicated here. Now in this case, when coming to the formula fields are purely read-only fields. Okay, because formula field value will be generated by the Salesforce system itself based on the formula, based on the expression which they have given. For example, okay, if it is not a read-only field, then for one person I can charge more service charge, for one person I can able to charge some less service charge also. That means we can do some malfunctioning also. Okay, so now in this case here, to avoid this kind of fraudulent transactions, to avoid this kind of misutilizations, so now in this case formula field doesn't allow you to enter the value by your own. Formula field doesn't allow you to modify the value. Formula field value will be always generated by that Salesforce system itself. Even though if you are an administrator, you can't modify that value. Through programming also you can't modify that value. Through like the integration tools also you can't modify that value because that field itself is a read-only field, which doesn't allow you to modify that value. So that here, when coming to the formula fields are purely read-only system-generated fields. The formula fields are purely read-only system-generated fields. That means what? This is purely a read-only field. We are not entering the value inside that. We don't have the rights to enter that. Who will enter that? Salesforce system will generate the value for that field. That's what it is called as system-generated field. So that formula fields are purely read-only system-generated fields whose value will be generating with the Salesforce system itself based on the formula or expression which we have indicated. Depends upon the formula, depends upon the expression which we have specified, the Salesforce server will execute that formula, it will be generating the result, that value will be storing inside that field itself by default. Okay? So in this case, we are going to be generating that formula fields inside your object. Now here in this case here, when coming to the formula fields, these are called as system generated fields. These values cannot be editable by the user. This value cannot be supplied by the user, they can't edit in future also, even though you are having the administrator rights on your object, on your organization. Okay, it won't allow you to modify. So now here in this case, now tell me, what system generated fields that you are aware of in Salesforce? What are the various system generated fields you are aware of? ID field, owner field is what? Is it a system generated field? If it is system generated, we can't change. Can I change the owner of the record or not? Yes, we can transfer the record owner from one user to another user to queue also, we can do that. But when coming to the record ID, can you change the record ID value? No, that will be a fixed value generated by Salesforce. Next, any more fields? Created by, last modified by, auto number, roll-up summary. Now this field is formula. Okay? We are having so many system generated fields are available in Salesforce. Like ID field, auto number field, roll-up summary field, formula field, created by, last modified by. These are the 6 system generated fields are available in Salesforce. For these fields, we no need to supply the value even we are creating the record through programming also. Okay? That value will be generating by the Salesforce system itself based on that formula. If it is the ID, that will be generating by Salesforce itself. If it is a created by, last modified by, Salesforce will generate the value for that based on the currently logged in user's name and the user date and time automatically will be tracking inside that. If it is the auto number, based on the display format which you have given, based on the format value will be getting generated. If it is a formula field, it is going to be generating the value based on the formula or expression which you have indicated over here. Okay? Now, in this case, formula field also one of the system generated field whose value can't be editable by the user, whose value can't be supplied by the user. So in this case, whenever you are creating the record through programming in future, upon creating the record, you are supplying the value for the name field, the rating field, industry like that. For this now, system generated fields, we know it to supply the value, that value will be generated by Salesforce itself by default. Okay? Now make a note of this one. Formula fields. These are the read-only system-generated fields whose value will be generated by the Salesforce system automatically upon creating or updating the record inside the object. Whenever we are creating the record or whenever you are updating the record, now this formula will be getting recalculated. Formula will be reapplied on the modified records and then will be regenerating the new value. That value will be storing inside that field by default. Now, hence, the formula field value can't be editable by the users. Hence, the formula field values can't be editable by the user. In this case, these kind of system-generated fields should be visible where? In which page layout? Edit layout or detail layout? Detail layout. Okay, so that your formula field will be always visible in the detail layout, not in the edit layout. Okay. The formula field will be always represented on the detail page of the record. Formula fields will be always represented on the detail page of the record, not on the which page, only on the detail page. The formula fields will be getting visibility. Then how can we prepare this formula field? Whenever we are going to preparing the formulas, we can use so many ready-made functions. Okay, we have so many ready-made functions which has been given by Salesforce by default. By using those ready-made functions, we can prepare your own expression or formula, and based on that formula, we can able to generate the value. That value we can store inside that field itself. Then what are the various of functions has been given by Salesforce as part of Salesforce instance? We can use so many ready-made functions which has been given by Salesforce. Now, let me place those functions information. We have so many functions are available here, but these functions are not new completely. These functions you are aware of that when coming to your mathematics in your childhood. Okay, now these are not new functions. Okay, if anybody is aware of database or any other programming language, or even though from the completely non-technical background also, these functions are not new. Okay, the first function is ABS function. ABS in the sense of absolute function. What the absolute function will do basically? It returns the absolute value of a given number. Absolute value means what? Positive value. Okay, positive value of the given number. If I am passing a negative value to that function, it will return the positive value of that given number. Suppose if I am passing positive value, then it will be returning always positive value. In order to provide the absolute value of the given number, that means the positive value of the given number, we are going to be using this ABS function. Okay. So now all these function names we can able to list out over there. Nothing but you can able to see that function names. Like previously, when I try to create any validation rule inside my object, there you will be having all the functions information is available. When you go to this one here, you will be having that all the functions. Absolute functions is available, add ones, end function, begins, blank value, break function, like that. All the function names have been getting populated over. Lower function, upper function, trim function, year function, like that. Everything is available over. Now let's see. The first function is ABS function, nothing but the absolute function. The second one, SQRT, nothing but square root function. What is the use of the square root function? To get the square root of the given number. If I am passing the values of 144, it will be returning the square root of 144. That means what? 144 whole power 1 by 2. That means it will be 12. So now if I am passing like a some 169, it will be indicating like a some 13. Like that here we can able to collect the value, square root of the given number over here. Now for that one we are using SQRT function. Length function. Length function is for what? In order to know how many number of characters are available inside that string, we are using that length function over here. Okay? Now, for example here. Okay, for example, we can raise a question. Sir, whenever I am creating a new record, okay, inside my object, upon creating my account record here, now account name should be having minimum 4 characters. Then how can we do that? Account name should have minimum 4 characters. In this case, use that length function. Use that length function and then apply that the field name. Like as length of name, it will be indicating that. If it is greater than 4, then only accept the record. If it is less than or equals to 4, display the error message to the user. These functions we can not only using in the formulas, we can use in the validation tools also. Everywhere we can use this. Okay. Now, we can able to indicate that over here. How many number of characters are available inside the string? We can able to count the number of characters by using this length function. So upon giving this particular word, suppose if I am giving like some welcome to Hyderabad. Here I am having some spaces are available. This space is also counting as 1 character inside. Okay? If I am using that space, spaces are also counting as 1 character inside this. Okay? Now, the next one, trim function. Trim function is for what? To remove the blank spaces. Where in the middle? No. At the starting or at the ending here. Like for example, I am having the strings are available like this here. Okay? I am having that word. I am having some space. Welcome. So now here before this welcome, I am having so many characters are available over here. Nothing but so many spaces are available. I want to remove these blank spaces over here. Or else, I am having some spaces after the welcome. In this case, we are using the, you would like to use the trim function to remove the blank spaces which are available either after or before the string over here, not in the middle here. Generally, when you go to some other programming, to remove the blank spaces available at the left side, they are using the ltrim function. To remove the blank spaces from the right side, they are using rtrim function. But here we don't have 2 functions. We are having only one, which is a trim function, which will be erasing the blank spaces available either before or after the specified string also. Okay? Trim function is used to remove the blank spaces whatever we have either before or after the specified string over here. Okay? Now, next one, upper function. Upper function is going to be converting the specified characters into the uppercase letters. Suppose for example here, I am indicating that I am using that upper function. Upper of some welcome, I am giving all as small. Whenever I am using this upper function is going to be converting these characters into the uppercase letters automatically by default. In order to convert from lowercase to uppercase and uppercase to lowercase, we are using these functions, upper function and the lower function, both are available. Upper function is used to convert that specific string value into the uppercase letters, and the lower function is used to convert that characters into the lowercase letters. Okay? The next one, the float function. What do you mean by the float function here? In order to round up the values, whenever we are having some decimal digits are available, we can round up the values over here to the next integer or to the lowest integer. We can decide that. Okay. Now, in this case here, we are going to rounding up the values over here. For that one, we can able to round up the value to the lowest integer over here. For that one, we are using the floor function. Floor in the sense what? Bottom. Ceiling in the sense top. So that if you want to round up to the next value, we can go with that ceiling function. If you want to round up to that old nothing but the lowest value, we can go with that floor function. Okay? Two functions are available. Floor and ceiling function. Next, the left function. What do you mean by this left function over here? Left function is used to get the specified number of characters from the left side of the string. Like for example, assume that today I have received a call. Okay, I have received a call here from the number which is starting with some +61. Now that call has been received from where? Which country? It has been started from +61. 61 is for Australia. Then how do you know this is Australia? Because +61 is the Australia country code. +81 is the Japan country code. Okay? Like that, we can able to have some country codes are available. How do you know? Because of the left side characters. In my mobile number here, whatever the number that I have received, from which I have received the call, I would like to go to the left side of that mobile number. Starting, we are having some 3 digits are available, +91, or +61, or +81. Like that, we'll collect the first 3 characters, we'll compare that. The first 3 characters are what? Is it which country code? Australia country code, Japan country code, China country code, or what? We can compare that. Based on that, we can understand this car has been received from that so-and-so country. Okay? Now, so now in this case over here, for example, I am having a vehicle, a two-wheeler vehicle here. So in this case, it is starting with some MH. Now, that vehicle is from which state over here? Maharashtra. Because they are based on that starting 2 characters over here. We can able to recognize. Like the similar way here from the left side, whatever the left side characters are available, we can fetch how many? Either 1 or either 2 or either 3 or whatever. For example, assume that I am having a record here. I am having a record. So I am having this record ID over here. Now tell me, this record ID is what record? It is what record here? I don't know the record details, just I know the record ID, that's it. If this record is what record? Which object record it is? Account? Nobody's responding. From the beginning, almost 2 months, keep on discussing 001 means account, 003 means contact, like that. Okay? Now, so now here in this case, now the recorded ID is starting from what? 001. 001 means what? What object ID? Account object ID. So that means this record is what record? Account record. How do you know? Based on that left side. So now this is the record ID that we have. We are having that left side and we are having that right side is available. In this case, from the left side, I am collecting the first 3 digits. Based on that, we can able to identify whether this is account record, contact record, opportunity, or it may be case, solution, whatever we can identify. That means we can collect the first 3 characters. Now in this case, when coming to the string, whatever the characters are available, from this one, if you want to collect some specified number of characters from left side of that string over here, then we can go with that left function. By using that left function, we can get the specified number of characters. So this is that string what we have, and from this one, how many number of characters you want, we can indicate here. Like for example, in this case, I would like to specify here. Left half, I am indicating that ID over here. Is the ID. From this one, I want 3 characters. What it will return from the left side means what from this side here. Now the first one, second, third, 3 characters will pick up, it will pressing inside this one. If you want to get the specified number of characters from the left side of the string, then we can go with the left function. Okay? Now, like the similar way, we can able to use that right function also. Okay? Right function also. By using this right function, we can able to identify, we can able to fetch the specified number of characters from the right side of the string. Okay, we can able to fetch the specified number of characters from the right side of the string over here. That we can able to indicate that. Next, sometimes I don't want from left side, I don't want from right side. I want from that specific location over there. How can we get in this case? How can we get in this case? Based on the substring function. By using that substring function, we can able to collect that. So this is the actual string from which you would like to pick up the specified number of characters. How many characters you want, from where you want that characters here. We can indicate the index position of that starting character here from which you would like to fetch, and then we can specify the number of characters also. Okay, how many number of characters you want. From which position you want me to start? You want me to start collecting the data, and then how many number of characters that you want over here. We can able to indicate that. That possibility will be available to you in this case. Okay? Now, in this case, for example, assume that I am having a string called as welcome to Hyderabad. In this case, from the fourth character, I want 5 characters over here. Fourth character means what over here? This is the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. This is the fourth one. Including fourth character. From this fourth one, how many? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 characters will be getting written over here. So now we can able to get those number of characters also depends upon your requirement in this case. Okay? From which position, how many characters you want, we can able to indicate that. Based on that, we can able to collect those number of characters from that particular string. Okay? Now, the next function. The next function is today function. Today function is for what? Today function is used to get the today's date. In order to get the today's date, we are using the today function, which will be giving the complete date in the form of MMDDYYYY format. In order to get that complete date, okay, we are using the today function. But sometimes I don't want the complete date. Sometimes I want only the year part. Sometimes I want only the day part. Sometimes I want only the month. For that one, 3 more functions are available separately. To get only the year part, we are using that year function. Okay, we can use that year function. For this year, if I am passing the date, then from that date we pick up only the year part over here. For example, I am using the today function. Today function is going to be returning the complete today's date over here. Now, the year function is collecting that only the year part, like as 2016 or 2019, whatever the year is available, that year will be getting returned to you over here. If you want only that month part, we are using that month function. If you want only that day part, we can able to date part, we can able to get that day function over here. Okay, that possibility is available to you in this case. Next one, we are having that if condition. Sometimes I would like to execute some values, I would like to return some values based on some conditions. I want to cross check some conditions also over here. Then how can we cross check the conditions? For that one, we are using that if condition over here. Generally, when you go to the programming languages, we are using the if condition like this. If we can specify the conditions. We can specify the true black statements. We can specify the false black statements. These are true black statements and the false black statements. But when coming to the Salesforce, as part of ready-made functions, we are using like this. If specify the conditions, and then it is written if the conditions are satisfied, it returns true, or else it returns false. This is the format. Just the syntactical difference over here. Internal behavior, internal functionality, everything will be the same. No change. The next one, image function. Image function is used to display an image inside your formula field. Okay? In order to display an image inside that formula field, we are going to be using that image over here. Whenever I am going to be using that image, here we are having that 4 parameters are available. We have to indicate where exactly the image is available, that means what is the path of that image. Okay, what is the path of the image, where exactly it is available. So whenever I am placing the mouse pointer on the image, what alternate text you want to make it visible, and what is the height of the image, what is the width of the image. Depends upon the required height and the width, we can able to represent that image inside my user interface also. That possibility is available to you. So now sometimes in the entry point of view, they will raise a question, how can you display some images inside my user interface? Okay? In my user interface, I want to show some images over here. How to show the images over here? Like for example, let me check for an account. So let me check for that where exactly I have applied this. So let me check it out. Okay, and what field I have applied that and what object. Okay. So see that I have got of this practical part of it. Okay. Sometimes, if you want to see some images, if you want to show some images inside your user interface, okay, then we can able to use the formula field. With the help of the formula field, we can able to show some pictures also inside our Recaptcha detail page. Dynamically, we can able to change those images also. That possibility is available without writing the code. Just by uploading these images inside your document object, we can able to display those images inside your user interfaces also by using that formula field. So that depends upon your requirement. We can able to indicate which image you want to make it visible, If you are placing the mouse pointer on that image, then what alternate text has to be get visible? Nothing but what is the content has to be get visible, and with which height you would like to show the image, with what is that width you would like to use to display the image inside your user interface. Even though the image may be having very big size actually, I don't want to consider the actual image size. I want to show with my own specified size. I want to show the image with a specific height, specific width over here. At that time, we can able to indicate your own height and width also depends upon the requirement. Next one, we can use that case function. By using the case function, we can able to compare a variable value or a field value with the multiple branches. Okay, we can able to compare a field value with the multiple branches or the multiple expressions. And then based on that branch value mapping, we can able to execute some set of operations also. So whatever the expression or whatever the variable or the field that you are given, if the field value is matching with the first case, I want to return this value. If it is not matching with the first case, it will check with the second case. That means I am going to be comparing that variable value with the second branch. If it is matching with the second branch, it will be returning this value. Like that, here we can able to compare with the multiple branches also. If any of the branch value is not matching with my expression or my field value, then we can able to execute that default value also we can able to return. That possibility is available over. And then this text function already you are aware of that. It's not a new one. It's a very old one function that already we have discussed. So these are the various functions are available which has been given by Salesforce, which we can able to use upon preparing the formula conditions. Upon preparing your own expression, upon preparing your own formula, we can able to use these functions also. Not only one, combination of multiple functions also we can able to use it. Okay. Now, so now by using these functions, how can we prepare our own formula and how can we represent the values? We'll see in the next session over here. Okay.